Our topic is particularly relevant to those of you who's probably fond of social media. This topic is designed to act as a springboard to our discussion. This morning, let's start our day with enthusiasm. Good morning everyone and welcome to our presentation. Let me start by saying a few words about our background. I am Erica Elsales, together with my partner Angela S. Samaniano, and we are both taking the Bachelor of Secondary Education from 2I. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is all about gender and media. So, before we jump on our topic, let us first have the lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students should be able to first discuss the importance of media representation and lastly, appreciate the progress in media representation of gender. Definition of terms. Communication is the process of exchanging information and co-creating meaning through various means. On the other hand, it is an active process. It involves encoding, transmitting, and decoding intended messages. Media means through which information is transferred or received. Also creates false consciousness, making people believe they exert control over what they view when in reality they have little or no control. Introduction. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, 81% of Filipinos watch the television, and it still remains to be the most used and trusted sources of information in our country. We watch TV for entertainment and information through TV soap operas, news and entertainment programs. We become passive consumers of what TV has to offer, information, shock, humor, and etc. Therefore, the media influences our perception on different topics. It is important for us to look deeply into what it presents or fails to represent of our everyday realities. The influence of the media is significant in our daily lives. Through observing and comprehending daily activities, people build their knowledge about gender roles and identity. Regarding this, the media is one of the influencing elements that helps to mold how society views gender roles and identity. Men and women are continuously sexualized on television, in movies, on book covers, in advertisements, and in other forms of media. Print media, such as books, magazines, advertisements, and the internet, has shaped gender identity over decades by stereotyping and dividing gender roles. In the process of selling goods, women are objectified and dehumanized, and bystanders are made to feel as though this is the norm and are set unattainable goals to strive for. It appears that there is a growing issue with the way gender is portrayed in the media rather than an improving one. Media representation. Media representation is how the media presents or frames aspects of society, such as gender, age, or ethnicity. BBC 2019. It is important because it shapes the audience's knowledge and understanding and will contribute to their ideas and attitudes. People's appearance, diet, games, music, preferences, and entertainment consumption are all influenced by the media. There are two ways the media present these messages. First is the moral lesson conveyed in TV series, newspaper articles, music videos, and motion pictures. Secondly is in the advertisements that encircles these statements. How advertising views women versus men. The media has imposed its own standards on how men and women should behave. Through commercials, performances, actors, and actresses, the standard male is expected to be physically fit, masculine, dominant, handsome, and possess abs. The standard woman, on the other hand, is expected to be submissive, thin, possesses large breasts, and be treated like property. Due to the widespread use of these types of people in the media, what is actually a normal body type for either gender is not acceptable, and anyone who doesn't fit the ideal is considered unworthy. The negative representation of women fosters negative stereotypes about them. Every country has its own standards for beauty. For example, in America, men and women are more attractive when they have biceps and abs, and women should have a large boob and butt. In Korea, on the other hand, having a small V-shaped face, fair skin, symmetrical eyebrows, a slim body, and double eyelids are considered desirable. Together, these attributes give the appearance of youth and innocence. Gender bias in media. Not much attention is paid to women's issues unless these are related to rape, murder, and other sort of violence against women. The term violence against women refers to any act of gender-based violence that causes or is likely to cause physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women. It also includes threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. Whether the incident takes place in public or in private, women's mental and emotional well-being is particularly affected. In addition to their physical and reproductive health, women now experience guilt and low self-esteem as a result of it. It jeopardizes the personal safety of women, it puts women's health in danger, and limits their ability to contribute to social advancement. What issues need to be covered and what not is decided by the policymakers of media organizations, and unfortunately, majority of them are men. The mass media plays a major role in the sexualization of women in particular. The hypersexualization of women on these platforms, their lack of clothing, or their portrayal as inferior to men can have a negative impact on women's self-esteem, body image, and emotional health. Social media has shown to be an effective tool for raising awareness of women's rights, motivating action from local governments across the globe, and inciting decision makers to support gender equality. Women are seen rarely in holding key positions in the media organization. By encouraging women to actively pursue leadership roles without addressing the policies and practices that perpetuate a mismatch between how people perceive women and the traits and experiences they typically associate with leaders, organizations unintentionally undermine this process. A substantial body of research demonstrates that for women, the subtle gender bias that endures in organizations and society disrupts the learning cycles that is at the core of becoming a leader. Additionally, this study suggests certain actions that businesses can take to address the issue, finding and imparting the right skills and competencies as if in a social health in danger and limits their ability to contribute to social advancement. What issues need to be covered and what not is decided by the policymakers of media organizations, and unfortunately, majority of them are men. The mass media plays a major role in the sexualization of women in particular. The hypersexualization of women on these platforms, their lack of clothing, or their portrayal as inferior to men can have a negative impact on women's self-esteem, body image, and emotional health. Social media has shown to be an effective tool for raising awareness of women's rights, motivating action from local governments across the globe, and inciting decision makers to support gender equality. Women are seen rarely in holding key positions in the media organization. By encouraging women to actively pursue leadership roles without addressing the policies and practices that perpetuate a mismatch between how people perceive women and the traits and experiences they typically associate with leaders, organizations unintentionally undermine this process. A substantial body of research demonstrates that for women, the subtle gender bias that endures in organizations and society disrupts the learning cycles that is at the core of becoming a leader. Additionally, this study suggests certain actions that businesses can take to address the issue. Finding and imparting the right skills and competencies as if in a social vacuum is insufficient. Even if a woman doesn't look or act like the current generation of senior executives, the environment still needs to support her drive to lead and make it more likely that others will notice and support her efforts. Studies have found that although the number of women working in the media has been increasing globally, the top positions, producers, executives, chief editors, and publishers are still very male-dominated. White 2009. Alasdair Anthony Kenneth White, born May 24, 1952. How can media professionals, including journalists, help promote gender equality? Research indicates that despite a global increase in the number of women employed in the media, the top positions such as chief editors, producers, executives, and publishers remain heavily dominated by men. White 2009. This discrepancy is especially noticeable in Africa, where cultural barriers prevent women from performing the duties of a journalist, such as working in the evenings, traveling from home, and covering topics like sports and politics, which are seen as belonging to the male domain. Men are sexualized as well, whether it is an advertisement, on a book cover, or other mediums. Advertisements, music videos, movies, TV shows, beefcake calendars, women's magazines, male strip shows, unclothed female, nude male, CFNM events are some of the mediums in which men may be perceived as sexualized. Pornography is also bought and consumed by women. Men are frequently objectified in a gay male communities. Young adult men are also highlighted for their physical attractiveness. However, because of their physicality or cunning at work, they are frequently portrayed as being in positions of accomplishment, strength, and control. A lot of magazines have sexualized images on the cover, of whom images of women with little clothing are that focus on clothing you must wear or things. Girls in advertisements with sexualized women were dressed alike or who made seductive poses. Girls being dressed up to resemble mature women. Women's clothing to make them appear like young girls, the highly sexualized use of young famous teenagers to endorse or promote products. The negative effects mostly consist of making some women feel that because their bodies are different from models, they are not beautiful enough or thin enough to maintain their body image. We also discovered that a lot of women try to remind themselves of this or avoid magazines altogether. Articles about best dressed stars and who wear it better because it is the end of the world if two individuals and the public eye wear the same outfit, especially to the same event. Media and magazines are teaching people and children that these things are what is important instead of actual important things going in the world. Because of social perception, our clothes have an impact on how other people see us. We may receive different treatment from others if we wear apparel that is connected to a particular group or social status. Professional actors will dress in specific outfits that help them feel more like the characters they are practicing for. Maybe it's a bandana, a long heavy skirt, or an old pair of shoes that gives them the perfect edge, swagger, or grace. For instance, if someone shows up for a job interview wearing a suit, the job interviewer may think they are more capable and professional. A photo of someone's shoes can reveal a lot about their personality, politics, age, status, and income according to research. Today's health and fitness magazines are dangerously influencing the relationship between body image and fitness by featuring problematic viewpoints for both men and women. Let's examine how the distinction between men's and women's magazines contributes significantly to this systematic inequality by examining a few examples. An increasing number of these magazines are making false correlations between physical appearance, gender stereotypes, hegemonic masculinity or femininity, and health and fitness. As you can see, the emphasis on maintaining a slim figure and appearing attractive is more prevalent in women's magazines, which feeds into the stereotype that women need to have the idealized, often portrayed slender bodies. The pressure to have this body type can sometimes push viewers to engage in unhealthy eating and exercise habits, like eating disorders or exercise addiction, in an effort to get that figure. This further reinforces the prevailing notion of femininity, which holds that women must possess certain physical attributes in order to be deemed feminine. The men's magazine focuses on building muscle, getting in shape, having sex, and being physically strong. The emphasis on these concepts upholds the hegemonic masculinity, which holds that being physically fit, having a large muscular physique, and participating in sexual activity are all indicators of masculinity. People's ideas of what it means to be fit are being distorted by exposure to these health and fitness magazines and the other media sources that purport to extol the virtues of the greatest methods for getting in shape. They not only perpetuate the prevalent stereotypes of femininity and masculinity that are currently in place, but they also give an erroneous account of the advantages and results of exercising.
Good day everyone, I'm Angela Asiminiano. Today I will continue for the discussions about gender and media. Media stereotypes. A gender stereotype is a generalized view or preconception about attributes or characteristics that are or ought to be possessed by women and men, or the roles that should be performed by men and women. Gender stereotypes can be both positive and negative. For example, women are nurturing or women are weak. Meaning, media stereotypes are about the characteristics that a woman and men should have and the role that should be played by women and men. This means that women and men are only meant to do certain things based on their gender. Because of our exposure to television, the media ultimately represent our social realities as it mirrors the ideologies, belief systems, and stereotypes. There are many factors affecting media representation. After all, what we see in the television has already gone through a long process wherein many people are involved. The people behind the production of the content have their own ideology, ideas, and beliefs, and that greatly contribute to what we see in the media. Media producers, editors, directors, writers, and the network's values reflect through its content. So let us now proceed to how people interpret gender norms. But before that, let us first define gender norms. Gender norms are society's expectations and rules about how men and women should behave, express themselves, and interact with others according to their gender. So when it comes to whole body posture of male, more often shown standing and moving, and in female, more often shown lying down. And when it comes to head, for male, straight and positioned directly at the camera, and for female, tilted an angle looking away from the camera. Female tilt their head because it is more aesthetically pleasing. And when it comes to eyes, male focus on watching the world around them, while female not paying attention and space out. When it comes to legs of male, legs are straight and motions are solidly planted. And when it comes to female legs, knees are bent so that the body is tilted and off-center, the legs are crossed or women hold one of their feet. And in hands of male, controlling and assertive hands use the objects to do something, and men touch others. In female, passive and controlled by environment. Object rest in them, women touch themselves. And when it comes to performance of age of male, matured and manly. And when it comes to female, infantile shows snuggling into men. Women presented as looking like girls presented looking like women. And these are the typical views of women and men. The LGBT community are highly misrepresented in the Philippine media. There are many stereotypes of the LGBT in the media and most are not flattering. Often they are used as a comic relief in their portrayal of the loud and mysterious bakla, the straight male who act like a bakla with exaggerated gestures, the sex-deprived muscular male homosexual, or the awkward tomboy who eventually become a feminine woman after meeting the man of her dreams. This is what we often see in the TV shows that make us believe that LGBT people are like that, but it is not, it's stereotypes. In Philippine television, LGBT people are often relegated as sidekicks, victims, or villains. In fact, references on LGBT topics in children's shows cause controversy, so they are omitted in the broadcast. Such is the case of Glee, a popular American TV show that feature teenagers who are gay and lesbian. The gay kiss was omitted in the Philippine broadcast, although it was seen as a milestone in the international media. News outfit followed popular ideologies of portraying homosexuality as a sickness. The AIDS pandemic in the 70s also added to the negative stereotyping of the gay male as a sexual deviant. However, due to the pressure coming from the gay and lesbian liberation movement in 1970s, the international media was forced to recognize and set media standards for LGBT news coverage. Be that as it may, due to the weight coming from the gay and lesbian freedom development within the 1970s, the worldwide media was constrained to recognize and set media benchmark for LGBT news code. In the Philippines, there is a lack of awareness on SOGIE among media practitioners as they are often left confused on the LGBT term and labels. Most news from the LGBT community are often on coming out stories of celebrities like Isa Sigera, Jake Cyrus, Charis Pempenko, and Rosana Rosas, Pride March, event, hate crimes, and controversies. SOGIE is an acronym that stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and Expressions. Each component that make up a SOGIE is defined separately by an individual. Sexual orientations refer to romantic or sexual attractions to men, women, both, or neither. Gender identity refers to one's inner sense of self as being a man, woman, both neither or other gender. Gender expressions refer to how an individual expresses their sense of self and may include how they dress, style their hair, or present themselves outwardly to others. SOGIE is a continuum and may change over time for an individual. LGBT celebrities in the Philippines who are out and proud of their sexual orientation, such as Isa Sigera and Jake Cyrus, but their sexuality is rarely focus of the program they are in. There are landmark TV shows about the LGBT community such as My Husband Lover 2013 and The Rich Man's Daughter. There are also a handful of LGBT movies that featured the different aspects of the LGBT person from realizations of their sexual orientation, their coming out, to their acceptance in their families and communities. This TV show, My Husband Lover 2013, has a lesson says, being gay is not being effeminate. Being effeminate is not being gay. Homosexuality is far more than just the stereotypes we've constructed of it. Regardless of gender roles, infidelity should be treated as inaccusable. Societal pressure for heteronormativity can actually cause more harm than good. You simply cannot weigh the gay away. For me, accepting your own identity is losing your own lies. Being true to yourself means having the freedom to show or reveal who you really are. Regardless of our gender, our family will still accept us, and you don't need to worry about what society might say to you. The important thing is that you are true to yourself and that you are happy for yourself. That's all for my part. Thank you so much for listening. Have a nice day ahead.